Hi,
You
we
got
are
this.
talking today about the Space to Create writing retreat that's happening February 26th through March the 1st in 2026. And today I have with me Cambria Engstrom
Hmm.
from the faraway state of Nebraska. Ooh,
Hmm.
where it's probably really cold.
Too cold. Too
It's chilly
cold.
here in Mississippi.
Oh, heavens. It's you wake up and you wear a sweater in the morning, and then by 2 in the afternoon you're back in shorts and a t-shirt. Like that's the kind of weather right now.
And then once it gets dark, you're getting that sweater out again,
Exactly.
huh?
It's trying to find the costumes for your kids that actually allow warm clothing underneath so they don't freeze to death as they're going out running around for candy.
So you've got the great age for trick or treating. Um,
Perfect. Yeah.
so tell me the ages of your kids.
I have a 7-year-old who thinks she's 13. And then I have a 4-year-old who is the most charming goblin I've ever met.
Oh,
Oh, and then, oh yeah, and the third one, I have a baby who's about 7 months old now. So I, that one too.
oh, well, are you gonna dress her up too, or you just
I already
dressing
have
up?
I have a bumblebee costume for her, and I want to be
Oh
a
my
queen bee.
goodness.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna need to see pictures.
Of course.
So fun. Well, Camry is going to teach a workshop on plotting on the hero's journey, and I'm not even going to try to describe it. I'm going to let you describe it. Tell us about your workshop.
Yes, my workshop is about the hero's journey and a little bit of comparison to the virgin's journey and how you can apply it to your work, whether it's through fantasy or fiction. Well, actually, you can still find it in fiction. If you even look at the Bible, you can see that come up frequently with the different steps. And what I like to do for my workshop is, uh, let me not go too far. It's about, we were going to touch on Joseph Campbell himself and the 12 steps that he goes through, and then looking at the Virgin's journey. And there's a small comparison between the two because frequently there have been people who in the past said, if there's a guy in the story, it's a hero's journey. And it's like, well, no, that's not how it is because I can tell you, Iron Man, that's a virgin's journey if ever I saw it. And that's something I'll even talk about in the class is how I can find that in different stories, or even how Princess Tiana from the Princess and the Frog, that's a hero's journey.
Interesting. So gender really isn't the deciding factor.
No, it's not. And
So
I go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so yeah, it's that was what I and that's what I go for is like a man could go on a virgin's journey and progressing his kingdom. There, I let me step back and say there's a two different kingdoms. You can protect the kingdom, which was what the hero's journey is about, is bringing back the life or the weapon or the thing to protect the kingdom, while the virgin's journey is meant to progress the kingdom forward. And men and women can do it, but more often than not, you will see men who are meant to be protectors protecting the kingdom, and women are meant to progress the kingdom. I mean, we do produce children, so we make our own peasants and such, and that is how we progress the kingdom.
I love that. So, how did you get interested in studying about the heroes and virgin's journey?
When many, many moons ago, when I was a young goblin myself, while I was in college, I had learned about the hero's journey wheel in an English class, and didn't think much of it. It was pretty cool. I was always into fantasy. I was always into big stories. I loved literature, and I took literature. Fast forward to when I'm working my master's degree, I was talking about working on a fantasy story, and it kept coming up. The hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, uh, Grendel, and all sorts of things, and the book of Grendel as well came up, and how it kind of played on the hero's journey and anti-heroes. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, this is a great subject. And then I read a book about talking about the virgin's journey, but this woman in this book, she had a couple of good points, but at one point she started saying, only if you're a man, it's a hero's journey. There's no good women here, no good female heroes in Western society. And I'm sitting here like, have you not heard of Esther? Hello, hold up. So there was all these, I confess, a little bit of studying more about the hero's journey and doing my entire thesis on it. It's a little bit of a spite because someone had the audacity to look at Beauty and the Beast and say that's not a hero, it's only a hero's journey because it's about the beast. And I'm like, no, his is the virgin's journey, and Belle is the hero. It's a hero's journey. Like just because you had the beast, or even in Moana, they're like, oh, Maui, it's a hero story because of Maui. It's like, no, Moana is the hero's journey. She has all the steps, while the beast, or while Moana, or no, Maui is the virgin's journey. And I wanted to compare and contrast that. And I did a lot more studying. And that's where, oh, I'm sorry, the names aren't coming to me, but that's where some of my books come. And I'll bring them with so people can see them if they want to actually study them themselves, between Joseph Campbell and Vogler as well. And then the Virgin's Journey. So I have some of those books that I studied and got into it more with.
That's great. So who would you say that your workshop is for? Like the writer
I
who is what?
I'm thinking it's really great for a lot of new writers and writers trying to break into the scene because it gives you an idea of a formula that you can utilize. Obviously, there's nothing new under the sun, but to be able to know where it began in the oral history of storytelling, because every culture follows this, and that's what Campbell was talking about, is every culture does this thing. So by learning the craft, this is a great way to hone that craft in the beginning. And I would say that a couple of more veteran writers who are just interested in the academia of it and discussion of who Joseph Campbell was and how he originally had, I think it was originally like 30 some odd steps. And then it got reduced down
Oh,
to
wow.
12. Like there was a lot more steps in what he believed, that every story that you read from Gilgamesh to Hercules to Maui, they all followed the same steps in their storytelling. And knowing those steps can help somebody's writing.
Yes. I love
Hey,
that.
I got a question right. Woohoo! I studied
Yay.
hard for this.
Oh, so you have been to a past Space to Create retreat as
I
an
loved it.
attendee
Yes.
and not as a leader. But so if someone's watching this and they're wondering, why do I need to go to the Space to Create? Like, is it worth my time? What would you say to them?
Oh, that's actually fantastic. Yes, I went as an intent. I loved it. It was Why should someone attend? It is an opportunity to not only meet other beautiful writers and creative minds and experts, because this is where I actually met I met Lindsay, who has now been helping me with my story and helping me progress forward in my own hero's journey, as it were. But I had chances to go to classes, and the dinners were delicious, by the way. I just go for that alone. The food there is fantastic. But finally, for those moments when I wasn't interested in going to a session, I had no problem just sitting on the dock and enjoying the quiet water. It is such a beautiful and quiet town, and it I didn't have to worry about traffic. I didn't have to worry about noise. It was just pure peace. And I've only ever experienced that pure peace and quiet when I was in Scotland at the far end of the peninsula, away from any traffic, and it was just quiet on the bay, and it was glorious. So I say to anybody who wants to have a nice, peaceful place to just relax and get into your story and find inspiration, this place is perfect. That was such a fun time.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And you were so brave. You came without knowing a single person. I mean, you knew me over Zoom, but we hadn't met in person yet.
It's Oh yeah. And I mean, it wasn't like I was leaving my children behind. Oh no, oh, I hate to leave you. Oh no, time without the. But yeah, it was. But I felt, honestly, I felt like I was part of a family. And I remember, if I was correct, it was like your second or third time doing this retreat at the time. So it was
Mhm.
very early on. It was your largest at 10 people. So it was fairly small, but it was just enough for me to just feel like I was invited to this family. And everybody would tell jokes and tell stories, and everybody was just a storyteller. And it was so refreshing to just have that dynamic because, again, that's what Campbell noticed. People would come around a fire and tell their stories and tell legends. And if you take a story and you pass it down through generations long enough, it becomes a myth or it becomes a legend, but it
Mhm.
always follows the same dynamics.
Is there anything else you want to say about the workshop?
I will make sure to have some printouts, so there'll be plenty of things for people to work with. And if I have enough time, I would love for everybody to have the opportunity, whether they work in progress or something they think they might want to work on, we can actually play with the hero's journey and see how much fits. Because I can tell you, when I was doing my work, when I realized I was missing a step, I'm like, oh, shoot. Ash, my character in my book, my Griffin and I, Ash actually hasn't done this step yet, and it can be very crucial. And the great thing about these steps is, again, they kind of pop back and forth. Like, not everyone does them in order anymore. It's just trying to follow the three-act play. And maybe you don't meet the mentor until Act 3 or halfway through Act 2. But that's something I can go more in depth when the time comes because it's such a huge subject and all to just push it into like a short amount of time. So I hope I'm done. People will love to sit and chat about it and go more in depth because
Mhm.
it's the one thing I do know besides how to raise goblins is the hero's journey.
Well, good. Well, tell us about your writing journey and what you're working on and
Oh,
where people can find you.
oh, my wonderful writer's journey. I have always loved storytelling since I was a kid. And I actually wrote a story when I was a little girl, but then the electricity went out and we had one of those old computers back when you didn't have Google and can put it up to the cloud, and it fried our computer. And so
Mm,
my 40 pages of story that I wrote as a kid, gone. And then as I progressed through, I got to college and I kind of got back into writing a little bit, but I went for literature because I find that if you study books and study good work, you can then emulate it. And then finally, I went through the Navy. Uh, and I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast. I'm just like, how do I take the whole journey and read it all? But while I was in the
you're
Navy,
fine.
I was writing stories and writing a lot to my husband because I needed to have an outlet. And I realized I love writing. I love just handwriting, pen and paper. And finally, I had the opportunity to use my GI Bill. And I'm like, okay, I can go get a business degree. I can go do science. I can go become a teacher. I can do something really responsible. Oh, wait, there's a master's degree in creative writing. I like writing. I can actually have a degree, higher degree in something I like to do. All right, let's do it. And and
Mhm.
so it initially was on a whim. And then that's when we were going through, I was writing this story about griffins. I loved dragons growing up, but then griffins just caught my interest, the idea of something telling the truth, and you can only speak the truth around it. So I started building this character. And part of this journey was during my first semester with my master's degree, because we were given mentors each time. And the mentor I was given was a very much older gentleman who didn't do fantasy
Oh.
work. And I was fresh out of the Navy, and I confess, I struggle grammatically. I struggle with writing. I have ADHD and dyslexia, so it's a wonder if I write. It's its own parcel to unload. But I would send him my work, and I would try to clean it up as much as I could. But he finally one day wrote to me, I wonder if you even have a K through 12 degree in English. And I almost stopped writing right there. I
Right.
almost, I almost did. Exactly. I was like, he wasn't understanding my what I was trying to get across. I was trying to send him good work, and I was just deflated. I'm like, I called
Mm.
in, I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm so stressed out. And I'm doing this with a family, fresh out of the Navy. I'm like, I can't do this. I like this isn't my thing. If everyone's gonna look at my handwriting and think it sucks and then not look at the story.
Mhm.
Well, I the next year I got a new mentor and she was a poetry mentor. But she said she wanted to break into fantasy. And it was there that she finally started looking at the work. And here's the ironic thing. I would be going to a lot of appointments and driving, and I started voice to text my work because I'm driving. I have a child in the car. I can't exactly text and drive. It's apparently illegal in some states,
Imagine that.
right? So I would do that, and then I would go home. I would put it into a paper, and I'd send it to her. Well, one day she writes and says, "I'm concerned about your Lincoln and the Bardo paper." I'm like, "Oh, why? What's wrong with it?" And she's like, "Well, it's not that there's anything wrong. It's just that compared to your other papers, this one sounds, how do I say, extremely academic." And I'm like, "What do you mean by this?" And she's like, "It sounds like a professor wrote it." I'm like, "I wrote it." So apparently she thought I was copywriting.
Oh, oh, okay.
So we had to do some things. I had to send evidence that I had did voice to text and that it was on my computer and that I didn't go and use AI or anything to write this. But I laughed because suddenly from one semester to the next, I had one person tell me, "You're not smart enough," and then the next, "Wow, you're too smart." So finally, at that point, I got like my last two mentors were so brilliant. They looked at my work and they gave me what I needed, which was that confidence. And they're like, "We like your work.
Mm.
We see you for who you are." And I got my last mentor, and I love her. I miss her, Maria, excuse me. And she was the meanest, most beautiful, toughest mentor I ever experienced because she made me write 10 pages a week to get my story done. And she pushed me for my story and she loved my story and she would send me feedback and it was just brilliant. And then my 200 pages of thesis that I had to write. And that's where it all clicked that I love writing and I can write and I can give the world stories, not just fantasy. I have like Griffin and I have Pineapples and Angels. I even have a kid's book, Diggy Dog, all ready to go because I can. I'm a storyteller. So there's that. I'm not just a writer. I'm not just an author. I'm a storyteller. And
Mhm.
for those, as you have seen my work, because we have worked together, you know my grammar is not always pleasant or easy to read, but the story, and that's my journey, is telling a story, inspiring, bringing humor, bringing sorrow, bringing hope. So that way people can then feel like there's something more to life than just what is handed to them and giving
Mm.
them the hero's journey they need or the virgin's journey to progress forward.
I
That's,
love that.
thank you. It was very poetic and I can never do it again. So I hope that's recorded.
I love it. I love the fire in your belly.
No, that was the acid reflux. I haven't had my antacids yet.
I cannot believe that professor said that to you about
It's true.
not having enough education. Oh my
And there was
goodness.
just, and I mean more to it in this context. And he was an older gentleman and like that, but it was just that moment when, like I told you, some of what I've done has been, I don't want to say I'm a spiteful person, but it's like, in spite of this person, I did it. I mentioned the
Mm.
Navy. I was actually supposed to be a reporter in the Navy. I joined the Navy because I
Really?
wanted to be a photographer, but they combined two MOSs into one, photography and journalism. I'm like, cool. I like writing. I can write a story. I was kicked out of that program because they hated how much my grammar sucked.
Oh,
I
they were
was
not
kicked
looking
out of
beyond the grammar to the story.
so I was kicked so I was in the Navy and I became a machinist mate, but I was kicked out of my original job in the Navy because I couldn't write. And now I have a master's degree in writing. God has a
You
wonderful
you
sense
have
of
a
humor, doesn't he?
you have some oh yeah in you, don't you?
Oh, you want to kick me out of my job? Watch that. You don't like my grammar? Check this out. You think the hero's journey is only for men? Watch this. Ugh. I act
I love it.
and I have it in my mind. So I have these two books. I have someone who's written about the Virgin's journey and its steps, and then the hero's journey. I hopefully when I go for my doctorate, because I'm really going to nail it home. But someday I'm looking to write a book that talks about both of them and put them together, and I want to call it the Virgin's Quest and see can you combine both of them to make this singular line and enact upon the progression and the protection of the kingdom and see if we can
Ooh,
find it out. But that takes brain power, and most of my brain power goes to babies and children and homeschooling. So
it's not that
go figure.
season yet.
It's not that season. That season is when I'm no longer a summer chicken or a spring chicken or whatever kind of chicken I am. I'm probably going to be a fall chicken.
Why don't let's see. I want my people to get to know you. So why don't you tell us a random fact about you?
I have plenty of. There's many, many things about me. All right. On the subject of books, I'm the reason why my children's preschool doesn't allow parents to read books anymore at the school.
You are a
I got
troublemaker.
I I can't help it when there's a good book. It's a good book. My I'm the reason my preschool doesn't has banned books for parents. My beautiful daughter. My husband got this book that's called My Butt Has a Crack. And it's about a little boy who discovers that his butt has a crack. And throughout this story, he's talking about how to fix said crack. And it's quite a charming little book. So the day comes, and I said, I will happily come and read a book for my daughter, for my kids, or for my daughter. And they didn't vet me on this, but Fiona's like, I want this book, and I'm like, well, look, there's these books. Here's some Dr. Seuss. Here's this book. I handed her all these others, and she's like, no, I want this one. An entire library. And she wanted that book. Who am I to deny what she wants? And again, I think it's quite funny. And I take it in and I sit up on the stool. And there's my daughter's poor teacher and the assistant teacher. The assistant teacher was laughing her butt off the entire time. The kids thought it was hilarious because I was doing the voices, I was doing pauses, I was allowing myself to storytell. And then at the end, when I said the end, before I even closed that book, the teacher's like, okay, boys, now remember, we're not going to say these words on the ground. These are only for this book in a panic. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And she's like, thank you. Have a nice day. And she was just like gritted. And I'm like, I think I did something bad. And then the next year, I find out they're not letting parents bring books to school anymore. Apparently, I was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I wasn't the first, but I can't help but believe that that straw was more like a log that broke the camel's back.
That is so funny. Wow. So you're stubborn and you're, oh yeah, and you're a troublemaker. It's gonna be awesome.
Are you sure you want me to teach? I might start a riot at this rate. Like,
Oh my goodness. I love it. Well, writers are come in all shapes and sizes, and It takes all personalities.
Oh, I have many personalities, a lot of voices in my head, and they all
Um,
have something to say.
well, tell us about your book that you've been working on.
Ooh, the one that I've been working on for 5 years now.
Yeah,
So the book is called My Griffin and I take that as a working title, but it's kind of emulates what I want, and it is nothing like what I had originally planned. It was meant to be a discussion on depression, actually, in the
really.
very beginning. Yes, Ashley was a college student who went to Scotland, and because she was alone, because she was in a new environment and all these things, she was becoming more depressed. And that's where the black dog, the main antagonist, comes in, is that was depression and anxiety and thoughts, darker thoughts in form. Because when you're in Scotland, there's always magic. Like the idea is like this is a new place and it's magical. And to counter this, the joy, the happiness, it came in the form of a grin that only she could see. And that's how it all started. And as time went on and I got different mentors, they kept saying, well, you can do more. Like, this is very Harry Potter-esque. Like, where's the adventure? Where's the excitement? And that's when I started applying the hero's journey. And so I'm like, okay, well, Ashley needs a companion. Ashley needs to start somewhere. So let's put her back in Minnesota. Ashley's too much of an older kid for a YA. Let's make her a teenager, and so on and so forth. And it just morphed into Ashley, a teenage rugby player with a who encounters a tricky feline. And from there, we learn that this feline is a griffin, and she discovers that she has these magical powers, and she has to go to Underhill and learn about these. This Underhill, by way, is uh, what's called the fairy world and a lot of Gaelic and Celtic lore. So a lot of my work started becoming more about, hello, look, a griffin has arrived.
Just the
Uh,
tail.
just the tale. Um, where was I? And so she goes to Underhill and learns about magic and starts to come into her own, realizing that her world is not just about growing up, go to college, marry a guy, and settle down. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is a young woman who discovers that her entire life is going to now revolve around choosing to go back to her old mundane human life or becoming the magical Brehon who is the mediator between the human world, Fey world. And it will be
Mhm.
up to her to make sure they don't clash and destroy each other before Abigor, the evil elven general, comes back.
I
No big
love it.
deal. Just
Yep.
an epic journey.
She didn't have the weight of the world on her shoulders. She has the weight of two worlds on her shoulders.
Exactly. And every time I bring this story up, I discover more wonderful things, such as who Josh is, who Doug is, which by way was supposed to be just a side character that nobody like was just there for existence, but now he has gained a name and a reputation. And I will be adding stuff to my website, my Griffin and I, spelled with a YPH. So GRYPHON. On my website, I'll be adding more about who this Doug character is and who Ashley is and her cat Bumble, who turns out to be a griffin. So
I love it. Well,
if you want to check it out.
your website is amazing. I love
Thank you.
playing around on it, and Bumble looks just like my cat, Prince. And so you've got him all over
There he
the in
is.
different places on your website. So I love it.
I I thought it was fantastic because he keeps just popping up out of nowhere. And I think that's what just makes it all the better because he's kind of like he's like an oversized Jiminy Cricket in the end. He's just like the Ashley, get your stuff together. We got to do this thing. And Ashley's like, no, I want to be a teenager. And he's like, no, you must now grow up.
Mm.
Because that's how all teenagers go through life, right? Speaking of, I got more griffins coming. My other cat is over here staring at me like, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "I want to sit on your lap. I'm cold."
Oh,
He has more layers than I do.
right. Oh, so fun. So, on your workshop for the retreat, if a writer is not a fantasy writer, would they still benefit from
Mhm.
your workshop?
I believe so. It's not it's about the structure of a book and how you will start like even if you're writing a biography, you still want to be able to draw people in with um the beginning or like the difference, and that's the benefit is you have your opener, you have a call to adventure, you have a refusal, you have a mentor, you also and then you have the approach of the cave, and each of these can apply of, hey, I started in my small town, but then I didn't want to be in my small town, so I went to college. I had missionary work come up. I really didn't feel like doing it. Then I went over the edge and I met a mentor who convinced me to go and do ESL work. Like I can see how you can build an entire adventure with that. And it's one thing to write a biography, but you're not going to always write word for word every single thing that happened. You need to build a compelling story, and that's where the hero's journey comes in, or the virgin's journey. It depends on which one you're going with.
Right.
So someone who's not writing fantasy can still benefit from this because it's just the best story arc for how you're
Mhm.
writing. And again, you can then break it down into the three acts: your act one, your act two, and act three. You start in your the home world, you go into the new world where you gain a sword, and then you come home again in the last one, and that's just how all stories go.
I love that. There's power. Story is very powerful, and it draws
And
us in. And sometimes our defenses may be lower, and a
mhm,
story can reach places in our hearts that, like, just the facts or a narrative maybe wouldn't be able to.
exactly.
Mm.
It's it's how we get uh, Gilgamesh. It's how we get talking about kings and queens of old. It's how we get talking about the princess and the pea, or even a young boy who climbs a beanstalk to get the golden goose. It's hope, it's ideals, it's lessons, it's morals, and it's stories. And again, there may be nothing new under the sun, but that doesn't mean that don't want, we don't need it. And when you meet someone who's like, oh, I've already read that story, it's like, well, great, you're going to read it 100 more times because you're going to live those stories because your life is a story. I mean, there's probably 1,000 other moms who are writers out there, but their story is different from mine. I have my story to tell,
Yeah.
just as I want to hear their story. And I hope I can always be open enough to hear anybody's story, because that's what I am. I'm a writer. I want
Mhm.
the story.
I love that. What?
Here.
Is your cat still glaring at
Yep,
you?
they've shifted, but yes, now one is up here and she keeps coming over and sniffing at my little table, and I'm like, it's not.
I was reading the other night and I looked up and one cat was on the recliner, the top of the recliner, staring at me from this direction. One was on the floor staring at me. And I was like, I feel like y'all want something from me,
Right?
but I don't know what it is.
Oh, so I also had a fat orange cat who I loved dearly, and his name was Alistair. And when it was bedtime, he would look at me like, time for bed. I know you're in the middle of something, but you have to stop everything you're doing and come to bed. And then he would sit in the corner and he would start meowing for me to come to bed. And I'm like, bro, like, you don't need to yell at me. In fact, well, Blizzard, if you could see the little ears.
I can.
Yep, and he's the new Alistair essentially, but this time he's more like, no, I'm going to sleep on your lap. No, sit down. I'm now going to use you as my personal warmth.
That is funny.
Mm, mm.
They're all so
These cat
different.
personalities all over. That's why they make perfect griffins.
Right.
If
Right.
he's a griffin, I'm in so much trouble. excuse me. I apologize.
Well, Cambria, thank you for telling us about the workshop and
Yes.
um we look forward to seeing you at the retreat. And
Oh,
if there's
I can't
anyone,
wait.
I know if there's anyone that's watching that's kind of on the fence, like, I don't know, what what one last thing would you say to them to say, come on?
Please come and have a chance to. It's no good sitting constantly at your desk, static, and just letting it boil right there. Come to the retreat. Let yourself breathe, relax, and open up because that's what this retreat does. It is meant to give you space. Oh, look, space, create. It's meant to give you space to create, open up, and let everything go. And I promise you, stuff is going to start flowing. If it worked for me, I think it'll work for just about anybody else. And also, I'll be there. So
Yes.